This story encapsulates the experience of dealing with jaundice in a newborn, from conception through birth, diagnosis, and treatment, to the eventual recovery and ongoing care of the child. It showcases the emotional roller coaster that parents go through in such a situation and highlights the resilience and hope that ultimately leads to a positive outcome. It all began with a couple, Emily and Tom, who had been eagerly awaiting the arrival of their first child. The pregnancy was an exciting time, filled with anticipation and joy. Emily had always been healthy, and everything seemed perfect during the initial months. However, there were some subtle signs during her prenatal checkups that raised concerns for the doctors. Early on, Emily's blood tests showed a mild issue with her liver enzymes, which her obstetrician advised monitoring closely. Though it wasn't a red flag, they kept an eye on it. They also made sure Emily was getting regular ultrasounds to track the baby's growth and development. As the pregnancy progressed, everything seemed to be going smoothly. The baby, a little girl they decided to name Lily, was growing at a healthy rate, and Emily felt confident that her delivery would be normal. But as Emily's due date approached, there was a sudden drop in the baby's movements. Emily rushed to the hospital, where doctors performed an emergency scan. It turned out that Lily had become slightly stressed in the womb, and they made the decision to induce labor a few days earlier than expected. The labor was long and arduous, but Emily and Tom were thrilled when, after hours of waiting, little Lily was born, weighing a healthy 7 pounds 4 ounces. She cried loudly, and they rejoiced, but there was one catch. Lily's skin had a noticeable yellowish tint. Nurses immediately took Lily for routine checks after birth, and within hours, the pediatrician confirmed what Emily and Tom had feared. Lily was suffering from jaundice. This condition occurs when the baby's liver isn't mature enough to process bilirubin, a byproduct of red blood cell breakdown. Normally, the liver would process this waste and excrete it, but in newborns, especially those born a little early or with certain health factors, this system is sometimes not yet fully functional. The jaundice in Lily was moderate but noticeable, and it was likely triggered by a combination of factors: her premature birth, Emily's mild liver enzyme issues, and perhaps even a small genetic factor that made Lily's liver less efficient at clearing bilirubin. Doctors reassured Emily and Tom that jaundice was relatively common in newborns and could be treated. However, they would need to keep a close watch on Lily's bilirubin levels over the next few days. The first step was to put Lily under a special phototherapy light. The lights worked by helping break down the bilirubin in her skin, allowing it to be excreted more easily. Lily was placed in a bassinet, her tiny body wrapped in a blanket with only her eyes covered. The room was dim, the light harsh, and the environment felt clinical. But it was essential to reduce her bilirubin levels. Emily and Tom were beside themselves with worry. Holding their baby while she was under the light wasn't possible. They could only watch and support her as best as they could. Tom took on the role of gathering all the information they needed about jaundice, from the medical staff to online resources. Emily, on the other hand, focused on keeping herself calm, often speaking soothing words to Lily, even though she was separated by the phototherapy lights. Nurses frequently checked Lily's bilirubin levels, and after 48 hours under the lights, her condition seemed to improve. The yellowish tint to her skin started to fade, but they needed to be certain it was gone. During this time, Emily and Tom learned how to manage the situation as best as they could. They were careful about keeping Lily hydrated and followed a strict feeding schedule, as feeding was another way to help eliminate the bilirubin from her system. The hospital staff showed Emily how to breastfeed effectively, as Lily's feeding was a bit sluggish at first. Even though the process of phototherapy and constant monitoring was exhausting, Emily and Tom remained hopeful. They found comfort in talking to other parents who had experienced similar situations. It helped them realize that jaundice, while scary, was manageable, and they weren't alone. After a few days of phototherapy, Lily's bilirubin levels finally dropped into the safe range. The yellow tint began to disappear, and her energy seemed to increase. Emily and Tom were overjoyed when they received the news that Lily could go home. At home, the couple had to continue monitoring Lily closely. They made frequent visits to the pediatrician to check her bilirubin levels and ensure there were no other underlying problems. Thankfully, Lily continued to thrive and grow stronger every day. Emily made sure to feed her regularly, and the couple followed the pediatrician's advice on how to care for a newborn with jaundice, including frequent sun exposure and monitoring her health. Over the following weeks, Lily's jaundice completely cleared up, and she was thriving. Her skin was a beautiful shade of healthy pink, and her energy and growth were on track. Emily and Tom, though initially anxious, had learned how to deal with the challenges that came with the condition. They were more prepared for the ups and downs of parenthood, their bond as a family stronger than ever. As Lily's first birthday approached, Emily and Tom reflected on the difficult journey they had faced. What had started as a scary and uncertain moment turned into a story of strength, resilience, and hope. The jaundice had been a temporary challenge, but it had tested their patience and love for their daughter. They had learned not only about the importance of timely medical intervention, but also the power of staying calm and hopeful in the face of adversity. Lily had become a happy, healthy toddler, full of energy and curiosity. The jaundice, though a significant challenge early on, was now just a memory. Emily and Tom continued to advocate for newborn health, sharing their story with other parents to reassure them that many challenges in the early days of life, no matter how frightening, could be overcome with proper care, love, and support. The outcome? A healthy, thriving child and parents who had learned the invaluable lesson that even in the darkest moments, light and love would always find its way through.